Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Darkfall video. So today I want to share with you guys the Darkfall VFX Nodes add-on that I've been working on. So just to be aware, I'm really new at Python and scripting in general, so it may not look pretty, but I will be working on it and I will be adding new effects to this as time goes on. So hopefully this add-on will help speed up your workflow with certain tasks. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and download the add-on. So there'll be a link in the description of this video and it'll take you to our blog. Go ahead and click that. Then if you scroll down, we can see we can download the add-on here. So once downloaded, we can go ahead and load up Blender. Then we want to go to Edit, then to Preferences. Then if we click Add-ons, then go over to Install. Now we can select a file to install, so go to the folder that you saved the add-on to, and select the add-on, and then Install from File. So now we have the add-on, we can go ahead and activate it. So anytime you load up Blender in the future, this will automatically be added. So now the add-on has been installed, if we go to the output section, we can now see that we have this new section here, which is the VFX nodes. I'm just going to drag this up here. There's a whole bunch of text and some buttons that we can press, and I'm going to go through each one of these and show you how they work. If you don't want to watch all of these, there'll be a timestamp in the description, so just jump to the section that you do want to see. But yeah, I'm going to go through each one of these and show you the process of how to use them. But essentially how this works, we pick an effect that we want, we click the button and the nodes will be added to the compositor window. And depending on which effect that you choose, you'll have different nodes added. Then you can Shift A, go to group, and then there'll be a group there added depending on which effect that you choose. So it's pretty simple to use. And as I mentioned, I hope it speeds up your workflow. But if you find this add-on helpful, be sure to give this video a like. So the eye color change will need a mask for the eyes. You're going to need another one for the eyelids and one for the garbage. Now you don't need to do the garbage unless you really want to, but I think it looks a lot better with this last mask as well. So you will need 3 masks and your movie clip. So let's go ahead and click the button and add our nodes. So as I mentioned, for this effect, these are the nodes that we need to start with. Let's go ahead and load up our movie clip. Now we can go down here and activate the backdrop. So now we need to add the eye color change node, so Shift A. Go down to group, we can see we have this new group here, the color change node. Connect this up to the viewer node. So we need to define that area. So let's go ahead and add a new section here, VFX motion tracking. Let's go ahead and get rid of these 2 windows. So right click in the middle, join area, do the same thing for here. Click the movie clip icon, load in our movie clip. Then we can set the scene frames and then prefetch. Since the eyes are moving, we need to track them, so let's jump back to the first frame. So you can go ahead and change these settings, but for this example I'm just going to control left click, scale this up, press Alt S just to enable the search size, or you can go to the clip display and enable it that way. Now we have this track, we can go ahead and name it. Then if we go down here, click this copy from active track. So now any tracks that we add in will be the same size. Press A, select both of these, and track these forward. I'm going to press A twice to deselect these. Now we can go ahead and create the masks. So we could go over here and change it from tracking to masking. Or if we press the tab key, we can switch between them. So in the masking mode, let's go ahead and click new. This is going to be for the eyes. So if we left click here in the center, we can add the 2D cursor. Now if we press Shift A, we can add in a circle. We can press G and move it around. We can press S to scale it. Once we have this, I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate it and bring it over here. So right click on this tracking marker here, then press B, select all of these, hold Control, press P. Now that's been parented. So let's do the same thing for this side. Right click this tracking marker, press A twice to deselect everything, then press B, select all of these, Control P. Now we're going to do the same thing for the next mask, click new. This one's going to be for the eyelids. So now I'm going to Control left click, just add a mask for the eyes around here, Alt C to close it, add a new layer, Control left click, Alt C to close it. Then I'm going to press A, V, change this to automatic, and then I'm just going to refine this, but I'm going to speed this part up so you guys don't have to wait around. So now once you're happy with the shape, just press A to deselect all of it. Right click on this marker, press B, select these, Control P, and that's been parented. Let's do the same thing, right click, Control P, there we go. So you might need to animate these masks just to keep them in position. We can see this has started to slip. So what you would do is jump to the first frame, enable the automatic keyframes button here. I'd press A to select all of them and just hit enter. Then move forward a few frames and then start repositioning them like this. Move forward, keep repositioning it until it sticks to the eye. But you want to do the same thing for both eyes all the way through until you're happy with it. Then turn this back off. Then you should have a perfect mask for your eyes. Let's go ahead and create one last mask for the garbage. So the garbage is any area that you don't want to be affected by the eye color change. So again, left click in the center here, Shift A, add in a circle, and we're going to scale this way down. Then over to the mask layers, click new, Control left click and add one for the white parts of the eyes here, or the reflections. And again, you want to take your time to make this look a lot nicer than this. Now we have these. I'm going to right click on this tracking marker, press B, select both of these, then Control P, just like we did before. Let's do the same thing for this eye over here, so click new, left click, Shift A, circle, scale, new layer, Control left click, right click on the tracking marker, press B, select all of these, Control P, there we go. So now that's all the masking work done. Let's just jump back to the general workstation that we had going. So now we have this, let's bring over the eye mask, select the mask icon, choose the eyes, then if we plug this into the eye mask slot here, so now we have this. If we change the eye color to a different color, we can see that it changes the eye colors, but it also adds this part up here which we don't want, and we can get rid of that with the other mask that we created. So select the eyelid mask, choose the icon, choose eyelids, and then plug this into the eyelid mask slot. And there we go, gets rid of the eyelids. And then let's do the last thing for the garbage. Select the garbage mask, plug this into the garbage. So it gets rid of the white areas. So we have a couple of options we can play with, not just the eye color, but we can increase the brightness of the eye. So as we reduce this, these eyes brighten up. We can also increase the brightness of the eyeball, so these white parts here. So with this, you don't want to make them too bright, maybe just decrease it a little bit. So just something to complement the eye color change, I guess. We also have some feathers, so let's just increase this feather to 10. And then for the garbage, you don't want too much, so maybe 4. So there we go, that's the color change node. The next one is the Sci-fi Eyes, and again I'm going to include this in the same part since we're going to use the same masks. So let's go ahead and click Sci-fi Eyes. So not only does it get rid of the nodes that we don't need, it's just added the new ones that we do need. Since we already have the movie clip loaded into Blender, we can just select this icon here, select the movie clip again, and there we go. So now if we Shift A, go down to Group, now we have this Sci-fi Eyes node added here. So let's drop this in, and it is quite big, there's loads of options here, and we could definitely refine this in the future versions and make it look a lot better. So the first thing we need to do is add in an eye image. So we have this Sci-fi eye image here. Go ahead and open up an eye image. You can use any image that you want as long as it's an image, as long as it's a circle image with transparency. As long as it's a circle image with alpha transparency background, then you'll be fine. Plug this into the eye image. And also if you want to download this and use it, you can go ahead and use it. There'll be a link in the blog, go ahead and check that out. So now we have this, we have the left eye X, so this is going to be left and right. Left eye Y is going to be up and down. Then we have the rotation of the eye. We also have the scale, we can make it bigger or smaller. And then we have the same options for the right eye. So what I'm going to do is position the first eye and then come back and position the second one. So one thing we can do to help position this, if we go to the eyelid mask here and change this to say 0.5 or less, we can then position this a bit easier. I think maybe in the future we could probably add a button and then position it with the mouse or something like that would be nice. So now we have the position, we can set this back to 1. And then let's go ahead and add the mask to remove the extra parts we don't need. So let's bring in the eyelids mask. Let's go ahead and select this, choose the eyelids mask, plug this into the eyelids section. There we go. We do have some options we can play with. Again, the eyeball brightness, as we did before, will increase the brights of these whites here. Since these are robotic eyes, I guess increasing this white would make sense. We go quite extreme. Mask feather, just like before, we can increase this and feather the edges. So we also have an option here for the shadow feather, but we've not actually created a shadow yet. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go back to the motion tracking. Let's go ahead and create a new mask. By the way, we're still in masking mode. Call this shadow. And then what I'm going to do is just make a very basic shadow shape around here like this. Alt-C to close it. Right click on the marker. Press B. Select all of these. Control P. It's been parented. So as we did before, you might want to activate the automatic keyframes and just move this mask around as it moves, just to kind of match the perspective. And let's also create a new one for this area over here. Let's jump back. Now we can use this shadow mask. So select the mask icon, select the shadow, plug this in. So now we have this. We can go down here to the shadow feather. We want to increase this quite a lot, so maybe 70, just so it gives it a nice blend. So now one thing you do need to do, if we play through this movie clip, so as the person moves, the eyes stay the same. That's why we have this section here. So let's go ahead and bring this first node over. This is the left eye track position. So go ahead and click the movie clip icon. So now we want to select the track, and we want to select the left one. Now if you didn't name these, it would just say track and then probably track 001. The one that says track would be your first one, the first one you created on the left side. So if you didn't name them, you can still tell which is the one on the left. Plug this in, the X to the X, the Y to the Y. And then we want to change this from absolute to relative start. And as soon as we do that, we can see this one jumps in place, this one doesn't. So let's go ahead and fix that. Do the same thing as we did before, choose camera, but this time we want to use the other track, and then bring this over, and then choose relative start. There we go. And as we play through, the eyes will move along with the tracks. So go ahead and play around with these. You'd also probably want to color correct your image. I'm just going to quickly do that by adding a color. RGB curves. This is not the correct way to do it, but I just want to get rid of the reds like this. Looks a lot more sci-fi straight away, but you get the idea. Add your color grading, and then you can go ahead and render it out. To render it out, all you'll need to do is go to the top. You want to make sure your video resolutions are the same as the movie clip that you're using. And if you don't know off the top of your head what they are, you could go back to motion tracking, go back to where it says footage here, and it'll tell you exactly what the resolution is. So you might notice the percentage slider by default is at 50%, but when we click any of these nodes, it automatically sets this to 100. You also want to make sure you set the frame rate to be the same as the movie clip that you used. If you don't find the same frame rate here that you use, you can go to custom and just set the frame rates. Then if we go down, you want to set the output. Save this to a folder where you know it's going to. Then we can go down to file format and change this to an FFmpeg video. Then we can open up the encoding, and then we can select the presets here, choose H.264 in MP4 format. Then when you're happy with the settings, go over to render and hit render animation. So that's how to use the color change and the Sci-fi Eyes. Go ahead and play around with these. So in this part, we're going to be looking at the patch node and the clone node. So let's go ahead and click the patch node. It's added these nodes for us. Let's go ahead and load up a movie clip. Then you can go ahead and enable the backdrop. So I'm using the same example as we did the last time we used the patch node. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, but you guys probably already know how to use this. Shift A, Go to Group, add in the patch node. Let's drop this in here. There's a whole bunch of options. Let's go ahead and add in our patch movie clip. So this is the movie clip that we want to add on top of this. So let's go ahead and open up. And if you want to use any of these assets, there'll be links in the blog. So go ahead and check them out. Now let's connect this up to the patch movie clip here. Now we're going to need a mask for this. So let's go ahead and add a new workspace. Go down to VFX, add in a motion tracking. Now you can either close these down or just move them out of the way, it's up to you. Click this movie clip icon. So let's go ahead and open up the second movie clip. So now we need to mask around this object here. Since we don't want to add the whole thing to the movie clip, we just want to add this waterfall. But one thing you should note is that the camera is moving on this, so we do need to track it as well. So since we're in tracking mode, let's go over here, Control left click. Like we did before, I'm going to press Alt S just to activate the search size. Scale this down, track this forward. Switch this over to the masking mode. Control left click and add a mask around here. Now be sure to take your time with this mask. So now we have the mask, press A. The marker is already selected, so I'm going to press Control P. Let's change this back to the tracking mode. Then I'm going to change this to the other movie clip that we have. If we play through, we can see the camera is moving, so we need to track this one as well. So I'm just going to pick an area, Control left click. Maybe scale this up a bit. Then track this forward as well. So now this has been tracked, I want to add a mask for this rock here to bring it back into the shot. So let's change this back over to the masking. Let's rename this mask, by the way, to patch, since that first mask is going to be our patch mask. Let's click new. This one is going to be our garbage. And then Control left click, add a mask around here. And again, you want to take your time, just make sure it's nice and clean. I'm just rushing through this. Alt C to close it. Press A to select all of it. Since the mark is selected, I'm going to press Control P. There we go. Now we can jump back to the compositing. Let's bring this patch mask over. Select the mask icon and let's choose patch. Plug this into the patch mask. And as soon as we do that, we can see we have this new object been added to our movie clip. So let's go ahead and position it. So position X would be left and right. The Y would be up and down. Rotation, scale. Then we have some feathers and we have some perspectives, and then we have the track input. So first thing I want to do is change the perspective on the Y, just so we squish this down a bit to match the other shot. Then let's move it over on the X, so it goes to the left. Let's also bring it down. So now we're happy with the position, we can give this a bit of a feather, so maybe 40, just to soften these edges. And we also have the garbage feather, but we've not actually plugged it in yet, so let's go ahead and do that now. So select this mask and just Shift D and duplicate it. So you don't always need a garbage mask, but if you want to bring something back, like we can see the edge of this rock here just disappears, which is not good. So let's change this mask to the garbage one. And then plug this into the garbage mask, like so. And as soon as we do that, we can see it brings it back. Now obviously the mask needs cleaning up a bit. Let's give this some feather as well. So now it's in position. So as we play through, we'll see the camera, the background moves, but this patch object won't. So what we need to do is use this track position here. Select the movie clip icon. For this one, we want to choose the background movie clip, which is this one here. Then select here, choose camera. Then select this one and choose track, and then change this from absolute to relative start. Now we can plug this in X to the X, Y to the Y. And now when the camera moves, the patch object will move as well. So then you can go ahead and color correct your patch object so it matches the scene. Then you can add some color grading. Then you can go ahead and render this out. So the clone node will take an area that you define and replace it with a different part of the movie clip. So for example, if we wanted to remove this section here and replace it with some trees, we'd need to create a mask for this area. Then we can clone this area and move it over. So let's go ahead and check that out. If we click clone node, gets rid of all the unwanted nodes. So let's go ahead and open up a movie clip. I'm going to use the one that we used in the previous example. So to define that area, we need to create a mask. Click the plus button, go to VFX, let's add in motion tracking. Select the movie clip icon, choose the movie clip that we've been working with. Now if your camera is moving, you will need to track it. So I'm going to add a tracking marker here. Let's enable the search size. You can go down here or press Alt S. Track this forward. So now let's go ahead and create a mask. Change this from the tracking to the masking mode. You want to control left click and add a mask around here and just trace kind of a treetop shape. And you want to take your time with this step because the more realistic you make it looking, the better it will be. But I'm just going to speed through this. So then we're just going to go around here, hold Alt C to close the mask. Then we want to parent this mask. So with the tracking marker selected, I'm going to press A. Then I'm going to hold Control and press P. Now we have this parented. So this has been parented. Let's go ahead and rename this. So be the clone mask. Now we can jump over to the compositor. Shift A, go to group and add in the clone node. Let's bring this mask over. Select the clone mask. Plug this into the clone mask slot. So we don't really see anything, and that's because we've not actually moved anything. So let's go ahead and change these positions. So we're cloning this area here, so let's move this up. And then a little bit over to the left, just so it doesn't look exactly the same. If we zoom in, we'll be able to see a sharp line. So we have this clone feather. Let's increase this to give a nice soft edge. We also have a slot for the garbage, so you could plug something in here and it wouldn't be affected by this clone node. So now we can see that the bridge looks as if it's behind these treetops here, when really it's actually in front if we just mute this. So this is one example of how it works. So in the other example, there's a person in front of a lighthouse. He's like waving his arms around and we just get rid of him. This is the same effect. We just plug this node in, choose the area that you want to remove, and then just move the position until you remove that person or object. But essentially that's the clone node. It's pretty simple. So the glitch effect will take your movie clip and add a glitch effect on top of it. So you will need an image for the glitch pattern, and if you want to download it, there'll be a link in the blog, or you can use your own. But let's go ahead and click the glitch effect. Let's go ahead and open up a movie clip. We can also enable the backdrop. Now let's Shift A, go to group, add in the glitch node. Let's drop this in here. So as I mentioned, we will need an image, so let's bring this image over. Open up a new image. Now the one I'm going to use is this kind of barcode almost image. Plug this in. Now we still don't see anything until we change the glitch image offset. Let's go ahead and increase this. So the more we increase this, the more the edges and everything's going to be distorted. So you can increase this quite a bit if you want, but I think maybe a smaller amount looks better. So again, play around with that. Now the glitch image size, which is these lines, if we want these lines to be bigger, we can just increase this. Then we have the chromatic amount, which is the chromatic aberration, so increase this. You can increase this as much as you want as well. Then for the glitch movement, if we play through this video, the glitch would just stay in the same position since it's an image. But we want to animate this glitch so it sort of jumps maybe every so often. And again, you can play around with it and get different types of glitch where it's constantly moving, or if it's scrolling up or scrolling down. It's entirely up to you, but we're going to be using the glitch movement. If we increase this value, we can see the glitch moves up. If we decrease this value, the glitch moves down. And essentially that's what we're going to do. We're just going to animate this value just to jump up and down. And then we've done this in a previous tutorial, so I'm going to speed through this. So with my mouse hovered over this glitch movement, I'm going to press I to add a keyframe. Split this window, and then I'm going to change this to the graph editor. Right click on this node, so we have this section here. Then I'm going to press N, bring up the modifiers tab, go ahead and add a new modifier, which is noise, and then scroll down so we can see it. So we can play around with these and get something that sort of works for us. So as we play through this, you can see the glitch moves up and down. So I increase the strength to something quite extreme. You could also add another modifier to limit the amount. So if you just want it to jump up and down like this, rather than at different values. And there's a lot to explain with the graph editor, so I'm not really going to cover it in this example, but that's how you would animate the glitch. So now we need to reposition this. We have this black edge here. I mean, if you don't mind it, then just keep it how it is. But we could either move this over a bit like this, try and split the difference between both edges. Then we can increase this scale, something really quite small. But yeah, there we have the glitch node. What you could do, if we select this node here, tab into it, and then this node that I left open, what you can do, you can play around with the Y value as well. Instead of just moving it on the X, you can move this chromatic aberration up as well, or down, depending on what you want. It's up to you. So you can really play around with it and get something that suits your needs, or something that fits what you want. So the sketch effect will take your movie clip and add a kind of pencil sketch effect, which you can play around with. Let's go ahead and check it out. Go ahead and load up a movie clip, then go ahead and enable the backdrop. Shift A, go to group, add in the sketch node. So the first thing that happens, we can see it's turned it to white. Let's go to the sketch amount and increase this. The more we increase this, the more we'll be able to see the original video. So if we increase this to say 90, we'll get this overblown sort of dramatic sort of drawn effect. But let's change this back to say 20. Then with this node selected, if we tab to go into it, we can see this node here that I've left open, this RGB curves. If we go here and then left click and then drag down, just to bring back some more of that detail. And you can bring back as much as you want, it's entirely up to you. But once you're happy with that, I'm going to press tab to go back out. And we can reduce this now to say maybe 10 and get more of a faded sort of drawn look. Or we could increase this to say 100 and get like a really over dramatic drawn look. It's entirely up to you. I'm going to change this to say maybe 30. So an option we have is to add a paper texture. So we have this image here. Go ahead and open up a paper texture, then go ahead and plug it into the paper image. Now we can see we have this sort of crumpled paper texture. So you could change the color, or you could go over to the paper color presets and click this. Or Shift A, go down to group. We can now see that the color presets node has been added. Click this, drop this in over here. So we have a couple of presets of a few different colors. So we can see right now it's using pure white, which is okay. But if we want to use something that's called natural white, which is a bit more appealing, click this. So plug this in. We now have this sort of natural white. We have an aged look, which is more of a yellow parchment paper type look. And then the second parchment paper. So you could use this if you want, or you could select a custom color. But the problem with that, it's a flat color all around. There's no interest in it. What we can do with our original paper image, if we plug this into the color, we can get a much better result. We can see we have dark spots in areas, so we can see it looks a lot better. So go ahead and play around with the sketch amount, and also make sure to tab into it and play around with this RGB curves to get different results. Something less defined or something more defined, it's entirely up to you. But then when you're happy with it, go ahead and render it out as we normally would. Scroll to the top, make sure your video resolution is the same as the movie clip that you're using. Now we don't need to worry about this percentage slider, since when we added these nodes it automatically changed this to 100. You do want to make sure that the frame rate is the same as the movie clip that you're using. So if the frame rate is not listed here, just click custom and set your own frame rate. Then go down to output, make sure you define where you want to save this to. Then go down to file format. Change this from PNG to an FFmpeg video. Then we can click this button here and then choose H.264 in MP4 format. So now we can go to render and render the animation. So the posterizing effect will take your movie clip and just add a posterize effect on top of it, which you can modify. I've also added a couple of preset options here, which you can also modify as well. But let's go ahead and click all three of them. Let's go ahead and open up our movie clip. Then we can go down to the backdrop and just enable the backdrop. Then if we Shift A and go to group, And depending on which option you chose, if you only select one option, only one node will be added. If you click all three, then when we go to group, we can see we have all three here. And they're all essentially the same. Maybe we have a few different values and a different blend mode. So go ahead and play with the values and try and experiment with it, get something a bit different. Let's try the other ones. This one here is set to color. It's kind of dark and very dramatic. Again, you can play around with these values, get something different. So playing around with these three values, and also if we tab into it, and if we change the blend mode of here, we can get loads of different results. So go ahead and experiment with it and play around and see what different variations you can get. And again, when you're ready to render it out, and it's the same way we always do, make sure we set the video resolution, make sure you set the frame rates, make sure you set the output, then define the file type, whether it's a PNG or an FFmpeg video. Also make sure you set the encoding, and then you can go ahead and render it out as we normally would. I'm pretty sure you guys know how to render it out by now. If not, go ahead and check the beginning of this video. And then the last effect in this version 1 is the ink drop effect. Now this is the negative ink drop effect which we did, which I think is better than the original. Let's go ahead and add this in. So the first thing we need is a smoke movie clip. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a smoke asset. And if we click backdrop, we can see we have this stylized smoke, but you can use any smoke you want. And this is going to be converted into a black and white image anyway. So Shift A, go to group, add in the ink drop node, drop this in. And this node is very, very simple. We don't really need to change much depending on what smoke you use. So we do need to open up an image. This is going to be a black and white text image. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. So it's just a black and white image with some text and maybe an image and a logo. Go ahead and plug this in. So now we have this. As we play through, we can see the smoke will kind of reveal this underneath. So we can still see the text here. If you want to make this invisible, just click this node here, press tab. Then this RGB curves here, which I've left open. So left click and then drag this up. And you want to keep dragging this up until we don't see the text. And tab back out of it. So now the smoke, as it pours down, will be able to reveal more of the logo and the text. So again, it's very simple, very basic, but it's a cool way to add this sort of ink drop effect to your titles. So now we can go ahead and render it out as we normally would do. Make sure the video resolution is the same as the movie clip you're using. Set the frame rate as well. Then down to output, make sure we save this to a folder that we remember. File format, let's change this to an FFmpeg video. Then we can select this presets icon here and choose the H.264 in MP4 format. Then we can go to render and render the animation. So that's how to use the nodes. Hopefully you'll find at least one of them useful, or maybe more. I will be adding some more effects to this in the future and fixing some of these user interfaces. Some of these are far too long and can be simplified with maybe just one button. So as I learn more about Python and scripting and all that good stuff, hopefully these will improve. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. If you like using this, or if you didn't like using it, if you think I can improve something, or you just want to give me your opinions, let us know in the comments. Hopefully you did find this video helpful. If you did, be sure to give it a like. As always, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.